All Across Perspectives is using our perspective of concepts, ideas, and latest news events that are reshaping the world that you live in to educate and inform so that the average person can prosper in this ever-changing world.
Breaking news.
Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for the purpose such as criticism, news reporting, informative, educational, and more. No copyright infringement intended. This video falls under the fair use guidelines. Any attempt to claim and falsify the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, better known as DMCA, is illegal and will be countered. Hello, this is All Across Perspectives, Worldly Financial News Report for the week of April 27, 2025, and I'm your host, Everett Day. These are the exciting events that we will cover today. America was the military force behind the empire of the city, which is being destroyed and restructured. What can we learn from past and present moves to make it all possible? This question and many more will be answered on this week's edition of Holocaust Perspectives Worldly Financial News Report. And as always, we start off the call with some informative videos to share, while others join the live call. All right, so the next thing I got here, this is Jerome Powell.
Okay.
You guys to hear what he has to say. It says everything we've lived through in the last 5 years was a cover-up, the bank crisis from September of 2019, okay?
I suppose, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Powell, I'm going to project a picture up here so that the audience can see, but I'm also going to hold it up for you. Is this you, Mr. Powell?
That is.
Where are you?
That's a party after the alfalfa dinner, an after party that I went to.
Where was that party held?
At Jeff Bezos's home.
At Jeff Bezos's home, and when was it taken?
Excuse me?
When was this picture taken?
Saturday night after the alfalfa dinner.
Give or take, you'll stipulate end of January 2020?
Yes.
Recently. Can you imagine how attending a lavish party at Jeff Bezos's $23 million home, along with Jared and Ivanka and the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon, might give off the sense to the public that you are not, in fact, immune from external pressures?
I would certainly hope not.
What did you talk about at that party with them?
I didn't talk to any of the people you named.
You didn't talk to anybody?
I didn't talk to any of the people you named.
Oh, can you tell me who you did talk to?
I mainly escorted my son and his brand new wife in there, and I actually introduced them to General Mattis.
Okay, great. I would just suggest that this attendance at this kind of event with these kinds of people is inconsistent with what I would otherwise commend you on for doing a very good job, I think, of reaffirming to the public. This plants in the public's mind, I think, a seed that is counter to what you have been doing.
Okay, so it says here, I read it a minute ago, it says we lived through the last 5 years was a cover-up bank crisis. To cover up the bank crisis that began in September 2019. The purpose is to usher in the new financial system by causing a massive inflationary cycle. Then crush everything and prolong deflation exactly like 1929. All right, so let's keep on moving. What else we got? All right, U.S. Secretary Scott Bessent. Listen to what he says. He made a slip in here.
I have spent the bulk of my career from the outside looking in on financial policy circles. Now I am on the inside looking out. I am eager to work with each of you to restore order to the international system. To achieve this, however, we must first reconstruct the IMF and World Bank reconnect the IMF and the World Bank.
Did you hear that? Reconstruct. Listen.
Reconstruct the IMF and World Bank reconnect the IMF and the World Bank with their founding missions. The IMF and World Bank have enduring value, but mission creep has knocked these institutions off course. We must enact key reforms to ensure the Bretton Woods institutions are serving their stakeholders, not the other way around.
Check this out. Okay, so this is Kash Patel. I want you to hear what he has to say about the Federal Reserve.
So I think we got to educate people that the Federal Reserve is not a public government entity. It's a private entity
Will that
owned
end,
by the robber barons that started this country, who manipulate the currency to their advantage. And that needs to be tackled. Again, I'm not the economic guru. I just know it's a problem. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know what the solution is, but it needs to be addressed.
All right, so I wanted you guys to see that, because where I'm going with this is here. So, Federal Reserve, if you guys know anything about it, it was created in 1913 by your big bankers, okay? JP Morgan Chase, the Rockefellers were involved, just to name a few. There were many more. I don't want to get all the names in there, but the reason why I want you guys to see this is because the next slide will explain everything. It says, did you know on June 4th of 1963, okay? So keep that date in your mind, June 4th, or even the month of June. June is going to be massive. Massive changes are coming for us, because from my understanding, Trump is going to be doing something major in June, a major announcement, and his birthday's in June. Okay, so keep that in mind as we see all this stuff play out. But on June 4th, 1963, John F. Kennedy signed an executive order 11110 to restore control of the money supply of the United States back to the people. With the stroke of a pen, JFK stripped the Federal Reserve of its power to loan money to the government at interest and declared that the privately owned Federal Reserve would soon be out of business. Everybody see where I'm going with this? Within 5 months, he was killed and Lyndon Johnson reversed the order. This is the executive order right here. Like I said, we're learning something. It says Executive Order 11110, amendment of Executive Order 10289 as amended, relating to the performance of certain functions affecting the Department of Treasury. It says here, by virtue of the authority vested in me on Section 301 of Title III of the United States Code, it is ordered as follows. Section 1, Executive Order 10289 of September 1951, as amended, is hereby further amended by adding at the end of paragraph 1, therefore, the following subparagraph. The authority vested by the President by paragraph of Section 43 of the Act of May 12, 1933, as amended, to issue silver certificates against any silver bullion, silver or standard silver dollars in the Treasury, not then held for redemption of any outstanding silver certificates, to prescribe the denominations of such silver certificates, and to coin standard silver dollars and subsidiary silver currency for their redemption. Revoking subparagraphs and paragraph 2 of therefore, it just says the amendment made by this order shall not affect any act done or any right occurring or occurred or any suit or proceeding that had or commenced in any civil or criminal cause prior to the date of this order, but all such liabilities shall continue and may be enforced as if said amendment has not been made. Guys, he was killed because of this. I'm not making this stuff up. We got it all in writing. This is the act that he did, and then he was killed in order for the powers that control the monetary system to stay in power. Okay? Now you see, there might be a reason why
24
Trump, there was assassination attempt on Trump. I don't know. Like I said, anything is possible at this moment. I think very broad. I think way out there and say, okay, now when I'm ready to reel it in, that means I have enough facts that I can say, let me figure this out. Okay, now, next thing I got for you says 2 globalist giants fall in 24 hours. I'm going somewhere with this. I want you to see. In just one day, 2 of the most recognizable figures in globalist agenda are gone. Klaus Schwab resigns from the World Economic Forum. Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope, is dead. These aren't just headlines, they're turning points. This monologue examines what their simultaneous exit means for the balance of global power, and why it may signal the unraveling of an era built on control, centralization, and managed perception. Is the system crumbling, or are the pieces being moved quietly off the board? Okay, so check this out.
In the last 24 hours, two pillars of global influence have fallen. Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, and Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope, gone. Just like that. No speculation, no spin, just fact. One resigned, one passed. Both considered architects of the modern globalist agenda. Both gone in a day. You won't see headlines connecting these two events. The mainstream will call it coincidence, but people are watching. People are feeling the shift. And let's be clear, this wasn't expected. Back in May of 2024, Klaus Schwab said he would remain at the helm of the WEF until at least 2027. He was adamant. The transition must be gradual, he said, and yet, just months later, he's gone, abruptly, quietly. These aren't just resignations or deaths. These are symbols of an era that may be ending. An era defined by control, centralization, ideology masked as inevitability. Globalism demands that nations surrender their independence to a global authority, political, financial, even spiritual. It asks you to trade we the people for they, the elite. That's not progress. That's the antithesis of the American experiment. Because the Declaration of Independence wasn't a suggestion, it was a rejection of exactly this kind of power structure. Sovereignty, freedom, self-rule. That's what's on the line. So what's happening here? Are the globalist foundations being dismantled? Is someone, some force, moving pieces off the board? We don't pretend to know the full picture, but we know this. Power doesn't give up without a reason. And when power does shift, it rarely does so with headlines. It happens in silence, in symbolism, in perfect timing. Watch closely, because the world just changed, and most people haven't even noticed yet.
Okay, so I wanted you to see that because I want you to pay attention to this.
Vatican, a third city-state, was officially created in 1982. That city-state is called the District of Columbia and is located on 10 square miles of land in the heart of Washington. The District of Columbia flies its own flag and has its own independent constitution. Although geographically separate, the city-states of London, the Vatican, and the District of Columbia are one interlocking empire called Empire of the City. The flag of Washington's District of Columbia has 3 red stars, one for each city-state in the 3-city empire. This corporate empire of 3 city-states controls the world economically through London's inner city, militarily through the District of Columbia, and spiritually through the Vatican. The Constitution for the District of Columbia operates under a tyrannical Roman law known as Lex Fori, which bears no resemblance to the U.S. Constitution. When Congress passed the Act of 1871, it created a separate corporate government for the District of Columbia. This treasonous act allowed the District of Columbia to operate as a corporation outside the original Constitution of the United States and outside of the best interests of American citizens. A sobering study of the signed treaties and charters between Britain and the United States exposes a shocking truth. The United States has always been and still is a British.
Okay, so I just want you guys to see that because the Trilateral Commission or the 3-state corporation has actually been dissolved because you had Queen Elizabeth passed away. Now you got the Pope. Okay, so Queen Elizabeth, they ran the financial aspect around the world. The Pope ran and controlled the religion around the world. Okay, and now you got DC. Trump came in and the whole corporation of the United States is being dissolved. So all 3 are done. Everybody see where we're going, where I'm trying to go with this so you can understand. Anything is possible because the controlling parties, the entities that controlled all this have been dissolved. All right, now you can see, I don't want to say you can see, now we should be able to put these together and say, oh, okay, now we understand. Anything is possible, guys. This is crazy. So I just wanted you guys to see this. It says the Pope is dead. Trump just took the throne. I apologize. April 21st, 2025. Pope dies. The global spiritual stronghold goes dark. Vatican media rolls out mourning protocols. Flags drop. Powerful silence across Europe. Same morning. Check this out. Donald Trump posts one sentence at 4:09 a.m. when the Pope died. When he gets word, he said, "He who has the gold makes the rules." It's not a quote. That's a claim of ownership. You remember the 2017 capitulation tour. Saudi Arabia, Israel, the Vatican. It wasn't diplomacy. It was a message. The old guard lost. There were no arrests, no press conferences, just quiet compliance. And if rumors are true, gold, lots of it. Assets changed hands, vaults were opened, and now 8 years later, the scoreboard lights up. The Pope death isn't random. It's a signal that the spiritual cover of the globalist system is gone. The one they all bowed to vanished. And Trump wastes no time. He declares he who holds the collateral, who writes the terms, who sets the next monetary order. He who has the gold makes the rules. This is not theory. That's Trump announcing control. If you think about it, he was at the Vatican yesterday and he stood out because he had on a blue suit, correct? Everybody, did anybody see it? Everybody, I know that everybody.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
Everybody else had a black suit on.
Everybody had a black suit. But see, the rules were everybody's supposed to wear a dark suit. Okay, so he had a dark blue suit on to stand out. This guy is smart. I hate to say it this way, but he's smart. He's playing chess. What he did, in so many words, he's saying, I'm not falling into your regime. I'm doing things my way. Everybody understanding. Now, when I'm reading this, now does it make sense? Because I'm sitting back and I'm like, this dude is crazy. I don't want to say crazy. He's doing some interesting things. We'll say that. Okay. While the world watches the Vatican, while the market prepares for gold reevaluation, while Iraq, BRICS, and XRP load the next system, Trump just pulled the curtain back and said it plainly. We hold the gold. We set the rules. The era of paper is over. We are not watching politics. We're watching the reset go kinetic. The Pope is dead. The gold is accounted for. And 47 just check the final box. Can't make it. All right. So it says, my fellow Americans. Yeah, I'm gonna have to read it. I thought it was a video. I couldn't remember. Yeah. All right. So I just want you to see this. Let's go here. It says, my fellow Americans, let's please allow ourselves to dream the impossible dream. Now, has anybody heard about $150 trillion trust fund that they found?
No.
No.
You didn't hear? Oh, buddy. Woo.
I heard about it.
You heard about it. Okay, here we go. This is where it's gonna get interesting. Okay.
I did too. Yeah.
You did? Okay, so we're gonna get into it. All right. So look, it says here, my fellow Americans, let's please allow ourselves to dream the impossible dream. Deep, I got a hot mic. Somebody. Okay, it says here, seek to really understand what's unfolding before our eyes and permit ourselves to see hope, unite, grow, and prosper. Keystone of video. Jim Rickards details how America's $140 trillion in hidden wealth unlocked by the Supreme Court in 2024 is being reclaimed by President Trump, and I believe will soon be monetized by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, leading to the greatest global refinance and wealth rebalancing in world history. Easter, April 20th of this year, will be remembered as one of the most significant geopolitical world reorganizing confirmations in our lifetimes. This level playing field video will reverberate the world over and lead to the essential dissolution of private central banker perversions, debt slavery, endless wars, and secretive NGO funding. Sovereign wealth, precious metals, domestic commodities, rare earth minerals, distributed ledger technologies, digital assets, and utility cryptos. Global interoperability, trustless protocols, abundance, the world over, freedom for all. So, it says here, Jim Rickards says Trump plans to unlock $150 trillion trust hidden for 161 years. Guys, that's our money. U.S. debt clock has been telling us for years there's hidden wealth and we're entitled to over $170 trillion. Most call it a psyop, but if you understand history, money, and the monetary system, you know it's not a lie. The Treasury dollar is coming. Question is, are you prepared? We're entering the wealth transfer of a lifetime. It's been running in the background. It's moving quietly into XRP commodities and digital assets, okay? So if we look, it says here precious metals, that is million, billion, 1.2 trillion. That's $3,500 per citizen. Mineral reserves, 6.1 trillion. That's 18,000 per citizen. Real estate, 75 trillion. That is 219,000 per citizen. Land, 24 trillion. That's 71,000 per citizen. Stock market is 50 trillion, 148,000 per citizen. Recaptured assets, 75 trillion or 7.5 trillion, which is 22,000 per citizen. And the reason why I'm throwing this all out, think about it this way. If every citizen was entitled to this, would you, and please understand, I'm just trying to get your brain around it, okay? I'm not taking sides on anything. I'm just stating the facts. If you know you're going to give this money out to your citizens, wouldn't you want to make sure that they are actually citizens? I'm just asking. Anybody comment?
Makes sense.
Makes sense, right? Okay, so if I'm going to give the money to my people, I want to make sure it's to my people.
Yes.
Everybody, like I said, the dude is smart. The dude is smart, guys. I'm not knocking anything. So let's listen. Jim Rickers has to say.
In 1873, Congress quietly established something I call a secret trust for the American people. And for more than a century, this fund has quietly grown, untouched, into a $150 trillion fortune. That's enough to pay off our entire national debt 4 times over. If you divided it by the number of households in the U.S., it would be enough to turn every American family into a millionaire. Now, this trust should have enriched generations of Americans. That was its intended purpose. Instead, for more than a century, it's remained sealed off from the public. But that's all about to change. Thanks to President Trump. You see, for the first time in more than 40 years, the president has the authority to release this secret trust. It's all thanks to a 2024 Supreme Court ruling. That ruling had paved the way for President Trump to unleash this $150 trillion wealth reserve, and he has clearly stated his intentions to do so. Look, if you understand what's coming next, and you take the proper steps today, you could watch your net worth soar in the coming years.
Okay, so with that, that might be another reason why he's making everybody pay their student loans back. He said, we're going to give you money, but they can't tell everybody at this moment. It's that kind of thing. Like I said, I don't know, but I'm just laying it all out saying, hey, this is the information I'm finding. These are the things that are out here. Let's talk about this stuff. Now, I think I have a video here. They're going to go into detail a little bit better.
Right. Where they
kind of explain. It says here it's a clip of Robert Kraft and myself discussing the $150 trillion trust. People have nothing to worry about in the very near future financially, period. Kaput. So listen.
Just like it was before they instituted beforehand, as well as a consumer tax, and that's all we need. But also, I found out yesterday that there's a $150 trillion trust that was established back in like 1790 or something by our forefathers. That was actually, that's what it's valued at now. Right? And then the deep state's been trying to get at this trust, and that they haven't been able to. And finally, with Trump instituting the sovereign trust fund, it's got a place now for the people, for it to actually have beneficiaries to pay out to. And I think this goes along with just about everything else. And I haven't fully gotten completely all of the information on this trust, but it has to do with this same kind of functionality, right?
So interesting. Andrew Jackson did not I believe it was 1828 or 1830. Andrew Jackson did not renew the charter for the second bank of the United States of America, right?
Right.
But that bank was never dissolved. It just never got a charter, which means whatever assets were in that bank have been compounding all these years since 1830, 1828, something like that.
And it was
that might
supposedly
be what it
started.
is, which is in national jurisdiction, which is, again, this goes back to why in 2008 they were not allowed to nationalize the banks, because
Yes.
there was already a trust there that was a perpetual trust under the founding.
That's the one I'm talking about, and it was founded in like the late 1700s, whatever it is, and they have been trying
It's the
their best
Hamilton
to
Bank.
get their hands on it.
It's the Hamilton Bank.
It's
It's the
I believe that's what it's
original.
called.
Okay, so I just want you guys to hear, because we see everybody's screaming about the things that he's doing, and oh my God, I can't believe he's doing this, that, and the other. Like I said, there's always something happening behind the curtain. I'm not taking a side. I'm just stating the facts. Okay, these are the things that are going on to move these things. And guys, they said that if they do this trust right, everybody in the United States as a citizen has a chance to be, and I'm just speaking off what I've heard, $1 million. $1 million at the minimum. Okay, like I said, anything's possible. This is Holocaust Perspectives, Worldly Financial News report for the week of April 27, 2025. And I'm your host every day. Strive to be your best each and every day in every situation. Leave the result as it is, which is the result, and find a way to raise your vibration so high that the lights flicker, matrix glitches, and stagnant and dormant and negative energies all transmute, all because you just walked into the room. And I'll see each and every one of you at the top.
Thank you, William.